Hello, 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 everyone. This is Shanidra with Fly on the Wall Conversations. I am here with my father. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself and also what Fly on the Wall Conversations is.
Hey everyone, I'm D'Angel. Welcome to a new show. We've created a series here called Fly on the Wall. We talk regularly about different things, business, life in general. And so we hope that this series can be an opportunity for anyone that it can help, of course, that can maybe find a way to create dialogues with those that are important to you. So this gives you an opportunity of just how the flow is. We're father and daughter, but there's no rank or pecking order in our conversations. Everyone's equals, a round table type discussion, and so we just kind of take care of it that way. So that's what we hope to bring in this series, and hopefully people can gain some insight and help, in their own situations from the discussions that we're having, or from the way that we handle the topics that we address between us.
All right, we'll be back. Okay, so
All
we're
right,
back.
we're
What
back.
is our topic?
one one of the things I did want to touch on first as a new co-host, I noticed we all both have our own separate shows, but one of the things I did want to talk about is, of course, that you all growed up this week. You finally uh, got older than me. You finally passed me in age, so uh, and that's a big deal. So I don't want to let that go by without bringing it
Well, that's fine because you are 50 and I'm 33. So, that's a huge difference to say that I'm older, but whatever floats
up.
your
I'm
boat.
32. I'm 32-ish or something. I thought it
Um,
was early 30,
you're 50.
32.
So what is the topic for today?
Okay. Well, of course, we got your birthday in there, but topic I thought that we had talked about here for a while that I wanted to address was, of course, people saying that they copy your bad, but not copy your good. We have situations in life, we all experience them. Sometimes we're on the other end of them, where people are like, well, I'm doing you this mean, narrow way because that's how you do me. You go, okay. But I also do a lot of good things towards your way, and somehow you skip reciprocate notes. And so in life, we find a lot of times that people are very keen to just be like, "Hey, you stepped on my toe, so I'm gonna step on your toe." Okay, I gave you half my candy bar too last week, but you ate your whole candy bar when you got a candy bar. So how is it that you feel like I need to balance things out and make them even if they're negative, but if they're positive, oh, you could just leave that.
Or you rather do the tit for tat type of situation? Oh, you did this
Right.
to me, but that's childish. As who was it? Uh, Paul or Peter said in the word. I'm not gonna quote the word, but he said when he was a child, he acted as a child, and when he became an adult, he acted as an adult. Period. That means let go your childish ways. So this, as a grown up, as an adult, this tit for tat stuff. Oh, you did it to me. I'm gonna do it to you. It's childish. He said you're supposed to let
Right.
go your old childish ways.
1 second.
You have to let it go. So we're waiting on him to back shortly.
Had some technical difficulties there. Uh, been outside, nose was starting to run. But yeah, no, exactly. And the whole point is, we're gonna tit for tat all of it, right? If you tit for tat my hate, tit for tat my love. If you tit for tat what I take, tit for tat what I give. So, if you keeping score, keep the whole score, right? Don't keep some of the score, keep the whole score. So
Right.
I, I brought you back food yesterday. One of these days when you bring in some food, don't forget me, right?
Since
Now you
since
remember the
we
time I forgot you, and then you made sure that you didn't bring me nothing last time. Go, oh, you forgot me, so you didn't bring me nothing. Okay, but then the 100 times I did remember you,
right.
you know, you didn't need to make that up.
So that goes along with, you know, looking going for what you say, the bad over the good. Copying my
Yeah,
bad
copy
over
my
my
bad and not copy my good.
that goes in a lot of ways, from relationships on to friendships on to kid and parentships.
Yep.
It goes into
Every
lots.
connection you have with somebody, it kind of fits where you want to make sure that people are kind of reciprocating, what's going on, and that it feels fair. And it seems like sometimes not only are the people not giving you back what you're putting in, but they're also like making sure they double down if they feel slighted or hurt in any kind of way. They want to make sure that they hurt you back, uh, but they didn't love you back. They didn't give you back. They didn't help you back. They hurt you back. They got that in
Right. And none of that is well, he said vengeance is not his. I mean, it's not ours, it's his. So
there. Right.
we this tit for tat stuff is not honoring. Well, they shouldn't have did that to me, and I will never forgive them for what they have done to me. That was so wrong. And again, they never thought about it. Like you do one little mistake, or you late for something, or anything. You made it. You made it
Yeah.
to whatever, but you were late. Oh my God. It's like the whole world blows up. Like, oh my gosh. You was like, you could have been 2 minutes late. You could have walked
Right.
in 2 minutes, like just trying to fix your shoe. And since you walked in 2 minutes, like it's like so dramatic. Like, oh my gosh, you were late. You were we've been waiting for 2 minutes. Like, you
But,
know,
but of course, the next time that they're like 10 minutes, I had other things to do. I got stuck and, I can't control the traffic and then this, that. Oh,
you
you
could be
don't,
like,
yeah, you don't control the world, but I got some kind of extra powers that are not available to everybody else. So traffic can beat me too. My shoe can come untied. I just said another, but if you wait, then you need to understand. If they wait, you should have been earlier. You should have anticipated traffic or your shoe coming untied or your makeup being smudged or whatever. You should have anticipated it and planned for it. But
yeah,
if it's on them, then you just, what are you rushing for? What are you worried about? Why are you complaining? We still got time, right?
yeah, they're
Everything becomes solely different.
right, unless you late for something for them. And that's why I try to leave about 30 minutes early, but you cannot predict every little detail. I normally have A, B, C, D, E, F, but with all of that, you can never predict what's about to happen or what's going to happen. And if
You're
you're
still gonna
just
be hit with G.
yes, I'm gonna get hit with G, and then that G is gonna be the main focus of the day. Everybody's gonna be looking at G, and I'm like, dang, you don't even know what happened. You don't even care, you know.
You're
So
also going. We've been talking about my 2 minutes for 10 minutes. If we really need to get this on the road,
we
you might want to bring the 2 minutes up after it's all done, right?
you've been waiting. You
So
know, it's supposed to start.
right. So you should be just like, let's get on in here and let's get this done. And then maybe you can complain like, oh, you was 2 minutes late. But no, it's been 10 minutes in the beginning talking about the 2 minutes. And so I think a lot of, what we talk about a lot of times is not anybody in particular or any situation in particular, but just trying to, just like the way you raise your kids, just trying to really focusing on, do I do that? Because that's
Right, right.
dumb. Right? So
Retarded, retarded.
yeah.
That's why I always try to catch myself like, wait a minute before I even say anything. Do I be acting like that? Because most of the time, when somebody irking your nerves, it's something that you used to do back in the past or whatever, and you like, ooh, I can't sit. But they, like I told you about, people, you know, just constantly talking, don't know how to shut up. But that used to be me. I didn't realize it because, it was like I always was shut. People would have me to shut up. So it was like when I finally got a chance to talk, it was like, like I have to let this out, hurry up and let it out before they cut me off. But now,
Yeah, I found that too, in that I feel kind of obligated a lot of times to, ironically, like fill in the dead air, right?
yeah,
If they don't know what to say, I'm scrambling around trying to, reach out and reach out and reach out, and and you just find that you end up on a one-sided conversation because you think you're doing something good, you're trying to figure out what they're thinking or what their issue is or whatever else, and sometimes people are just people. They don't have anything else to say. They don't have any need to go any further. They just stopped or whatever else, and it takes a lot of time to get your mind around, other people are other people,
yeah,
and they're not necessarily broken. They're not necessarily having a problem, for you to fix or rescue them from or whatever else. It's just the way they are. Um, Not necessarily a plus or a minus, but it's just different.
yeah. Because most of my times I get frustrated at the store or something, and I try to keep, you know, I've learned to, it's like I'm more humble now, and I don't react like I used to. Because used to somebody get my name, I'm like, oh my gosh. But now it's like I'm more, I wouldn't say humble, but it's like I'm more calm. And it's like, okay, they must be having a long day. I told you I used to have road rage. You know that for a fact, because we'll be on the
Yeah,
phone.
you've improved 100%. We used to talk, and like 80% of the conversation is, "Come on, get out of the way. What's wrong with you?"
Now I'm like, let me let them be great. Let me let them be great, because let me just stop. Let them be great, so I don't get mad. Because it will be, because it's like, what's your point? You trying to control my car? That no, that's what we not going to do. But I just take a deep breath, stop, and be like, I'm gonna let you be great today, because you're not controlling my car.
Especially when people give themselves away by when you just like, okay, well, I'll slow down, go ahead and go, and they sit there. Then it's like, now you clearly the one motivated now because this wasn't happenstance. You basically were running in at the same time as me, and I say, okay, go ahead. Now you want, hey, you was in a hurry 2 seconds ago, so I let off the gas, so you can go ahead and go where you're going.
Right.
Or people that's got to rush and pass in front of you just to go 3 miles an hour, and you're just like, what happened to your hurry? I mean, you just sped up in front of me. You were in such a big rush, and now you were just in a rush to be in front of me. So I'm checking my pettiness. This is clearly your pettiness.
So the ignorant, I think ignorance and just, I make up my own words, retardedness just gets on my nerves. Like I told you, when I became an adult, it was like the whole world was backwards. It's like nothing. Y'all are backwards. This makes no sense. None of these grown adults make sense.
It's a tough thing to realize because there's no magic dust that comes down on you for an adult. And you go, well, I guess they'll get it just like what you're going through, like raising kids, right? Like, I guess no, it's not automatic. You got to press it in there and hopefully, it shakes out some point, and that's a tough thing to realize that the default is like screwing up, right? And you just hope like, uh, you know, it's like herding cats or trying to stop somebody from walking off a ledge constantly, literally half the time, right? I mean, you stop kids from running into traffic or playing with sharp objects, or you know what I mean. You're just like, you got a death wish, and that's how people go into adulthood, just like never making that adjustment of the only person I can really check is me.
Yeah.
And then
So,
I can hold everybody else to that standard.
all right. And then, since we're talking about that, let's get to the bombshells that has been dropped into my life as I've became an adult. And just
My
the
32nd birthday.
yeah, when I turned 33 recently and find out that, I'm no kin
That your
to
name is not Matthews.
Matthews. Like, what is this? And then you just dropped it on me, and I'm like, okay. And then later on that night, it just hit me like, wow, I can't believe this. So, um, I just want to talk about the bombshells of, that you get hit with as an adult like that in particular.
Yeah, and I think, that one traces back, and that one's, minor in the way, when I discussed it, where it came from, you know what I mean? As opposed to traditionally, as Black people, we end up tracing it back to like what plantation we were on, right?
Well, yeah, you know how I got into that, but I want this, and then how y'all brush it off as minor to y'all.
Well, no, I mean in comparison, it's not the
Oh, okay,
plantation we were on. It's
right,
still
yeah,
your
mhm.
great grandmother's second husband, right?
Yeah, okay, but
But
the problem of the matter is that I'm not, and I've been carrying this name, and I've been wondering, like, everybody asks me, so who are you kin to? And I'm like, I don't know, in the Matthews, but I could tell you on my mom's side, and then to find out that I'm not, and then it's just dropped off, like, oh well, this is nothing. So
well, and I think it was a key thing too. What she's talking about on here is that
yes,
yesterday I
drop the bomb.
explained to her, where our last name come from. Came from my great grandmother's second husband, who took on my grandfather, and of course, it was passed down to my mother and passed down to me, and of course, consequently to her. Uh, so my father's name is Thomas, which is what her name would have been, and so that was shocking headline news yesterday.
Then we get off the phone. Like, wow.
But I think the biggest thing about it to me was that um, I'll give you two things that came out of Matthews for me. One was that since my father was not on my birth certificate, we were supposed to have specifically basically the same name. I ended up with his first name, and I would should have ended up with his last name. So his name was Earl Thomas, and even I have a younger brother, and he did end up with Thomas. And so, he told, that woman, oh, I'm just going to name him Earl Thomas too. And he's like, well, I already have a son, basically named after me or whatever else. And so my brother's name ended up as Daniel Earl Thomas, just not to have, effectively us have the same name, because we didn't anyway, because my name was Matthews and so on and so forth. But that left me with that unsigned birth certificate where he's not on there at all. And so I don't end up with his name. And it is a bit of a pomp and circumstance, because just like when you were born, be there, sign the birth certificate. You have kids now. You can't just necessarily stick a father on there. That person all but has to shine up and show up and uh,
Honest.
embrace the child to some degree, or accept, hey, yes, I acknowledge this as my child. And of course, I didn't have that, so you got 8 more siblings from me, and I made it a point that they would all have that name except for one, and that was Sovereign. Sovereign, I went through, and I was going to break Matthews with that, and I just named him Sovereign. And everybody else, as got long names, multiple middle names, all kind of stuff like that. But his name is just Sovereign, and it was just going to be Sovereign, not even Matthews, and they just would not fill it out that way. But I think it was going to make deity the last Matthews.
Oh, okay. I
You know,
mean, I
so
just wanted
learn
to,
something every day.
yeah, I just wanted to know because, now that I have kids, this is more, I need to know everything. And, and I even put this on this part of it is because I want to keep this for them, but it's very important for me to know this, and that's why I allow them to, you know, find out all their millions of cousins and all of that on their side. And I just wish, I was told at 33, so I wish I would have known. But maybe that wasn't, maybe I needed to be this mature enough to grasp it where I can accept it and, move forward with it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of things too that you've talked to me about where, everything from childhood experiences to sleep paralysis, that as you go through life, you realize people are aware of, and you go, you knew about this? You knew that you could wake up and not be able to move? Everybody like, oh, yeah, twice a year. That's a thing, right? You know what I mean? I just had this weird experience. This happens. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, and it's like, uh, I'm not a Matthews. No. Okay. Yeah. But for all intents and purposes, I never considered it to be much different because, of course, my grandfather married my grandmother, had my mother, and so it's as legitimate as anybody else's, especially when you go back a couple of generations. But it's not something we trace back to slavery.
I mean, but it's just also something that we can't just, drop on there and keep it moving. It's just like, wait a minute. Like, but
Yeah. I guess
nevertheless,
I just mean it's not any less legitimate because as Black people, of course, like you were talking about yesterday, these are not the names we brought over, any of them. No matter even if it was Thomas, this that Thomas
yeah,
line is not the Thomas line from Africa. It's the
right,
Thomas line was
right,
once it
yeah,
got over here off the cruise ship.
right. Shit. But yes, because I wanted to make sure. So that's why I brought up the slave stuff and everything before you had told me about my grandmother's situation. I was like, is this about, back when, because these are really not our last names to you? Like, no, it has nothing to do. But
No, I told you, especially I do that to all my white friends, go on a diatribe about us getting renamed and then say that it was my great grandmother's second husband. But it's just kind of a funny thing to go over that legacy of how our names come to be. And it's why, names get to be so important in our community. First names, last names, middle names, uh, whatever they are, because I've had a lot of people ask me over life, why do y'all name y'all kids all of this type of stuff? But we're the only group of people that have to identify our families or pass on our legacies through our first name. Everybody else passes on through their last name, but our last names are not our own. So, you know, all our kids are going to be named Jaquetta Nita. That's our,
not
that's how
going
we
all the
show
way
she black. Right.
back. Yeah. So we're not gonna get into the names right now.
But that's how
But
you got your name, Peggy Sue.
I got my middle name from your rap name.
Right. And your
So,
second middle name from a singer, at least.
yeah, I guess you could say that. Spelled differently,
Yeah.
but I guess.
Yeah.
But you live and you grow because I known about names, I would have named my children more, spiritually guided names instead. But, my son has his father's middle name, whole middle name and last name. So And then my daughter has a mixture of my two favorite singers, Aaliyah and Maya. So that worked
No,
out
I
for
know
me.
that. Yeah, and it can be tough. I know that like I had you, and then like took 6 more years to have some siblings on my side, and then two back to back, and they were still girls. So that was like going to be the end of Matthews as it was, because there weren't even going to be any boys. Ultimately I ended up with 5 boys, but it's
Mm.
but it was looking pretty stark there for the Matthews clan for a second.
So, how many siblings do I have from you that I'm the oldest of?
Well, you're just the oldest of 9 so far.
Just, just really? No, of 8, because you have 9 kids. I'm
Yeah,
the
you're the oldest of 9. You're the oldest out
no.
of all 9.
Oh, out of 9. But
Yeah.
so I'm the oldest of 8 from my dad. Then I got 2 more, so that's 10. I'm the oldest of 10 siblings. Most of them boys. It's just what, 3 girls?
Yeah, you actually have just 3 sisters, right?
No, I
Uh,
only got 2 sisters. No, 3 sisters. Wow. Okay, so I got 3 sisters. So wow. Um, that's a lot. So, anyways, we're gonna have to get into some deeper topics because we are both overthinkers, and deep thinkers. So, um, let's talk about a deep subject that you have to come up with.
oh, that I have to come up with. Oh, I thought you had a deep subject that you
Oh no.
wanted us to. No, nothing. Well, let's see. What can we think of that's reasonably deep without calling names and stuff like that? That's our biggest problem. Not calling each other names, but not mentioning names. So, and these have been pretty deep, I think, of going into the legacy of names for, especially for African Americans, and carrying on a legacy. Your two youngest brothers, the difference for them being in Canada is they were the only two that kept both last names. They kept their mother's last name as well. And I did that. It was not something forced, but I thought it was important that they did have another culture, that they were actually French. And so uh, being sensitive to being able to carry on legacies and everything else. So they ended up with all those names and then 2 last names. So their name really stretched
Then
out
if they
across
get
the whole
married,
thing.
oh well, they boys.
Um,
So I was about to say, then when they get married, but I forgot they're boys. So
yeah, they won't be changing theirs, but it's going to be funny to see if their wives take on both of their last names or one, or how that plays out, because they live in a different world with a different history of its own. The Afro Canadian community is parallel to the Black community here, but their history kind of starts with uh, Black people that were moved during, say, the Revolutionary War or escaped during slavery. So the Black people there kind of feel a little bit differently, because there's no plantations, there's no nothing. It's represented freedom. Not that it's not. Canada has the reputation of being, the friendliest place on earth, or there's no mean Canadians and everybody's polite, and that's true for a great deal of the population. But their history, and they still have issues of what immigrants to let in, how they're going to treat Native people, how they treat Black people, and so that's a different barrier to go up against when you're thinking about these two societies and what it means to be Black.
so how can you help my siblings with their um biracial issues?
Yeah, that's a tough thing, you know, and you've always hear people say, you know, I feel so concerned um, because everybody but you is biracial, right?
Right, I'm the only fully on this way. Black.
Totally hear you. Yeah, you got to go back a little further for your white blood.
Mm,
Um, they I think it's hard to emphasize enough uh, that they're black, and because it can make you feel like you're choosing between parents. You know, if I choose one side or the other, I'm choosing a parent over the other. Of course, some of them have successfully chosen a parent over the other, but I chalk that up to childhood. You know, where uh, one parent can be demonized to kids over the other. I know you went to great lengths to make sure you know there's no blood on your hands for how your kids end up feeling about you know their father. You
yeah.
experience them yourself, come to your own conclusions, right? uh, I'm not gonna be party to you know you coming back and being able to say you brainwashed me or you kept me away or you demonized him or whatever else, because when you demonize people they can't live up to that level of demonization.
Mm-mm. They
And
tried to
so
demonize Jesus.
huh
They tried to demonize Jesus. They called Jesus a demon. When he told them that their father is not his father, they try to call him a
yeah,
demon.
yeah. And you find out that you're going to be demonized, and it's tough to hear because you don't realize that people are projecting most of the time, you know, controlling people, find everybody controlling, because any power that they give up is you trying to control them, right? Selfish people
Call you
project
selfish.
selfishness on everybody. Huh?
I said selfish people call you selfish.
Yeah, selfish people call you selfish. And so you begin to pick up a pattern that, hey, I don't need to go up and lose any sleep or reflect on this because this person, people get to projecting. So uh, I I am bothered that I wanted my kids in places where they would not experience the contrast between black and white. You know, your first group of siblings, I moved to Florida and down into Miami where they could blend in a little bit. The second set, I tried to move to Montreal. Uh, a little bit of that gets undone because they still ended up in the whitest place on earth. And that's just really that sense of if you're not around your father and you're in an all white place, you'll be able to blend in and racism won't exist.
Well, I think we
And
experienced that with Obama. I think we experienced that with Kamala. Um,
yeah,
no, all of these people. Oh, with the what the prince and what was her name? They found out
Meghan
that she
Markle.
was. Yes, they found out she was mixed with black, so they're gonna consider them black anyways. It's not really them
Consider them that.
choosing. America chooses basically for them that you have any type of black in you, you black.
Yes. And you can't spend any energy running from that. You have to double down and put both feet into it. And you'll realize that you actually have fewer problems. I've had less problems with white people being black. I've had less problems with white people offering up a black perspective. You know, just truly giving them your authentic self. You know, not trying to play it down, not trying to sound like or imitate them or do anything because it's insulting, right? You know, if something black is happening and we're watching it together, whatever else, for me to just go, I just don't understand them and just try to say what I think they're going to say or try to say what they're thinking, that's insulting to them, right? You know what I mean? Uh, if they want to know, you know, I've always told my white friends, I'm your black friend. I might not be the only one, but I'm your black friend. If you don't know something, feel free to ask me without the sense that you're going to be, considered a racist or you're going to be considered, evil. If you don't know, it's okay to ask me, and I will tell you why black girls do like this all day. Which is an actual question I had once.
Hmm. Well, I don't do all of that because, but I think people just feel comfortable after they realize that I'm just going to speak my mind, regardless. Um, but now, I'm more tamed, but I still, speak facts. You can't, you know, deter from facts.
Right.
It's just exactly what Jesus was talking about. He was like, you don't want to hear the truth. I'm telling you the truth, and you don't want to hear the truth. You rather for me to tell you lies. So I'm here, and people have, like you said, whether they accept me or not, I really don't care. But they have accepted, this is, she's going to tell us like it is, regardless, and I don't sugarcoat, I don't beat around, I don't, this is wrong, whether it's, black or
Or
white.
at least or versus right or wrong, I don't agree with it. And so, and I open the floor to them, and which is I reciprocate. I'm not
Right.
going to lose sleep if they're just like, well, I still don't agree with it. Okay, don't change my life. I respect it. Matter of fact, I respect you being honest about it. Right? You know what I mean? If you see Black Lives Matter out there last year and you're just like, well, I just don't agree that's the way to go about it, or I just don't. Okay, I don't live under that terror. I have plenty of friends on Facebook or whatever else, voted different ways, post different memes. You know, hate the politicians I love, like I love the politicians they hate. And life goes on.
But
And I
that
think
goes
that's
into your show.
yeah, and I think that's why it's yeah. I think it's empowering that it's a that we walk away with mutual respect, and that's where everybody acts like if you disagree with me, you're the enemy, you're evil, we can't be friends, and it's like I'm black. You can go to Thanksgiving dinner and you don't agree with what everybody has to say in your family, in your friends. How are you going to expect somebody with a totally different life experience than you to agree with everything you say,
Well,
right?
that
And
goes
so
with
just
anything.
mhm,
That goes with anything. With people learning how to agree to disagree. Like, I don't have to agree with you on and you are my biological father. And
right,
I don't have to be like, oh yes, since my father told me this, I just have to agree and just, do it exactly. No, we have agreed to disagree plenty of times. And I've learned in this adulthood that, you know, it's like, how hard is it? Okay, I don't agree with you. What's the big deal? You don't agree with me.
right,
I'm not making a big deal out of you not agreeing with me. What are we gonna argue about not agreeing now? Like, well,
right.
it's not. I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm just gonna let you be because I don't have that type of time to argue about being right or wrong or trying to make somebody agree with me. That's not my problem.
I can tell you when I know that you didn't agree with what I said. You go, yeah, I don't know. So
I don't
like, well,
know.
that landed flat, right? But 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 it's a reasonable response in that I don't know it for myself to be true, right? You're telling me that's fine. You're telling me I don't know it to be true myself, right? Whatever it is, maybe I'll experience it down the road as you've had a lot of things like, okay, I do kind of see that to be true now, but for myself, I can't co-sign on that at this point because
Yeah.
I don't know that personally to be the case. And that's
Right.
okay, right? I shoot out a lot of information, a lot of details because when you're a parent, as you know, being a parent, I mean, you're trying to pack 33 years of information into your 7-year-old daughter. You're just like, and she's not going to get it all of a sudden, right?
Right.
There's no chance. So it doesn't change no matter how long you live, even though you're an adult, there's still 17 years between us.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of time that you know that there's still a lot of experiences that you still got to have and things that you got to find out for yourself. Yeah. And so that's the key difference. And a lot of it, as you've gone through, you might bring back up like a kid does as new, like, hey, did you know this? And you're like, I told you that 10 years ago, I told you that 5 years ago or 25 years ago. Uh, but you don't remember everything I said as a teenager or when you were 6 or whatever else. And so as you get to it, people go, hey, what about this? And you're just glad that ideally that your kids hit those check marks, right? First time your kid sits down with you and be like, did you know this, that, and other? And you're like, well, that's what I've been trying to tell you. When you sit down with your kids and you go, I've been trying to, that's what I meant by all of this. And when I was always trying to say that to you.
Yeah. Even when they come back, I could say the exact same thing. And their father tells them the same thing. They come home to me and they're like, Mom, guess what our daddy said? Da, 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 da. I'm like, okay, at least they got it. They didn't hear it from me. Like I
Yeah.
just never said it. But I just be like, well, praise God, they got it. Finally, I guess they
However you
couldn't
get
hear it from me. However you get it, that's fine. You got it. Praise God, cause honey,
I've
but
only said it every day of your life, but he said it once, right?
and you got it. Cause he was drinking his drink and he just said it, and I was like, oh, I got it. And it's like, oh, okay. But I tell you every day, and you don't get it. But nevertheless, I just be thankful that they get it. But like you said, because I've always been my own person, and I always, before I agree, whether it's a job, whether it's school, whether the situations with school, the situations with job, I've just never been, someone that just agrees if it don't make sense, or if I don't know personally, I just can't be like, oh yeah, that's right, and even if because I trust things, and I know you're educated, but it's still like I don't know.
Right. I
Basically,
don't
let
know
me check
myself.
it out.
Right. I'm gonna take your word for it for now until I, see otherwise. But
No, we'll
I have
see.
that you said it so far.
All
And
right.
so
Uh,
no, and I think we also find the balance too that a lot of the experience that we have uh, helps because we have opposing experiences, right? Obviously, you're female, I'm male, so um, it's like your child's father. I do know the situation of having multiple kids, multiple women, and trying to spread minimal resources, across that board. But also, I'm hearing it from your perspective, of course, of carrying multiple children in a household, and so it helps create a balance of empathy where you can kind of say, well, the other person isn't just seeing evil; they're trying to balance a lot of things.
yeah, I mean that helped me, hearing your story, of your chicks, with the kids. It's like, okay, well, you know, y'all the one that had the kids. I'm still stuck on that. But and y'all are responsible. But then you've been doing it. But I'm just saying, it did, help me to be like, okay, realistically, let's get back to reality. You're on your high horse now. Let's break it down, Shanidra, and in reality, yes, they have all these kids, but they are still trying to make it too. So, and I'd never put him on it. So, that's why, because the system puts people on it based off, the father signing the birth certificate.
Yeah,
So,
and it ends up souring any chance y'all have of getting along a lot of times because it does come tit for tat. I'm not paying. I don't get to see the kids. You're not getting to see the kids because you're not paying, and then it's a broken cycle where the kid, of course, ends up in the middle, right?
Right.
And and so if you can avoid those conflicts and those wars over your kids, and your kids from being pawns uh, in a conflict, like I know in my situation for kids, um, there's those father double standards advantages I guess fathers get, right? Um, and the ones with the mothers I've experienced is that kids can have their own conflicts with their mothers, right? But it needs to work out. Anything they didn't like about me, their sins, right? I never need to talk to him. Never need to know him. I never need to deal with him. This, that, and the other. And it's like if you judge your mother remotely on that standard, you'd have stopped dealing with her when you were 1 year old. You know what I mean? If it's this, here's what I didn't like, you're out of the picture for good. And for mothers to let that go on is a sin in itself because I could never imagine the tables being turned and that I would do that. I'm here, and so you never need to talk to your mother, know your mother, deal with your mother, whatever else. And you know what? And if I was trying to do that as a single dad, everybody I would tell the story to would be just like, I don't know, that's not right. I mean, kids kind of need to know their mother or whatever else. But we live in a society of people almost wear it as a badge. No, my dad wasn't around. I don't have my dad. My dad wasn't here. The hell with him. And so you just gotta kind of balance out that you're dealing with people. Your children are people. Your parents are people. And like the Bible says, judge not lest ye be judged, right? And I think one of the opportunities my kids are going to have is once they have their own kids, and once as a parent, where they never miss a day of making you feel like you're a total failure.
Well, I know that I have came to understand your situation and being a mother. Um, I see both sides. So, and as a black mother, and how hard it is. Um, I know, there's a lot of weight that's put on the shoulders, and just like you see, a lot of weight put on the man's shoulders. Well, there's a whole bunch of weight put on the woman's shoulders because she has the kids and she's expected to still work. She's expected to still provide. She's expected now. It's all that weight that was supposed to be for two is now on one. So now it's like piled up on. And then if she has to fight just to get some financial help, that's sad. So it's like um I really will prefer the physical help with your, where the kids are still, it's not a strain on them, and that they still get to know the other parent, as I, do with mine. They are over there now. So I allow that so they can get to know their other side and who they are, part of them. But it's a lot of it's like the whole world is on this mother's hand because we also got to see what's going on with the world, how they are hurting our men and little boys. And I have a little boy. Then I'm having
Right.
to raise a little boy, and I'm a female. It's just all this weight on one person, still running the business, still doing this, still carrying all this weight, and everybody's still looking at you like, yeah, you better hold it up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We have to have all our emotions. We go through our monthly. We go through everything, all of these different things. We can't be sick. We have to be sick with the kids. It's just a night and day situation when the father isn't in the house. Not saying that it's the father's fault that they're not in the house. Whatever
Right.
happened, it is a lot of weight on a mother. It's a whole lot of weight that I don't think gets noticed as much because it's like it's a whole lot. I mean, I do hair, cook, clean, this house has to stay clean. Her hair has to stay done. They have to stay dressed. They have to, so it's this, that, and you still have to try to look decent. So all of this, that's why I'm telling everybody you need God, because all of this is possible with God, and I do have help with God. I'm not doing this on my own. And I'm thankful for the strength to be able to do this 50 million stuff. But it's not, it looks like a breeze because I have God, but it's not a breeze. It's like you have to pick yourself up every day. You have to carry the weight of your children's emotions, your emotions. You got to, but it has built me up to be able to deal with my emotions and, and adjust and learn. But as a Black mother, it's a lot. We
It
go through
is a lot. I think it's and I know it's a lot in that my parents didn't do it. As you know, I completed the whole set in foster care, and whatever the things were, I wanted to make sure, no indictment on them, that I tried to cover those bases. And I've paid heavy penalties for trying to stay inclusive and make sure I carried that freight, because you have to have an equal partner that understands the value of what you're doing, or that it is not common for men to stay and fight that fight. We live in a society where women can be enticed away of, what can he do with you with this little piece of job? You need help now. Think about your kids, right? Take this little apartment, take this little state money, take this little now and kick him to the curb as soon as you can. And it's tough because once you're on that curb, you don't have any more resources than she had to work with. You came out as a Black male in the same world that everybody else grew up in, and there's no magical money to being a man, right? So sometimes you might be even making less. Maybe you're in a warehouse somewhere, and she's making $5 more than you an hour in a call center, and so, and you're paying her, and so it can be a lot difficult. And then never mind, there's not a lever of saying, okay, well, you're dealing with this and the kids or whatever else, send them over here, because of the double whammy. One, most mothers aren't going to do that. They're not going to just willingly give up the kids. No, at no point do they say it's so bad, okay, that's fine, you can have them. And so
We done went through all
I
that
have all this
labor.
on me, huh?
We
Right,
done went
but
through
I'm not
all
giving
the
up.
9 months.
Yeah. So, basically, then the man just becomes, no, you can't have the kids. What I want you to do is come in with support, and that becomes a different thing. And like I said, it can get bogged down and grind on its own gears of the burden of the kids being seen as the privilege of the kids, right? So I have the kids if you're the woman, and she gets the kids if you're the man. You know what I mean? Like, she has my kids and I don't get to see them. She has my kids and I don't do this, but she expected my check. And so it builds resentment from both sides. We've been talking about it for years, and like we said, it's helped with some perspective, of what it sounds like or looks like for both sides. Like, of course, you'd feel like my siblings deserve to be supported, right? They're your brothers and sisters, their mother, you know what I mean? But by the same token, you saw the situation and how unfair it can still be, right? Uh, for me to lose my whole check for children that are not talking to me or allowed to talk to me or whatever else. And you go, where's the fairness in that? So for every unfair situation that's going this way, there's another unfair situation, going that way. And you just hope that common sense can prevail for both people and say, whether this worked out or not, let's both stay in this together on this part of it.
Right, for the kids, and I think that's what's helped me just focus on kids and the bettering of the kids, and because you have to separate your life and what's going on in your life and your mind and your emotions and you have to detach that from what's best for the kids. Because if you allow these two to mix, then your emotions is going to split up and separate the kids from, and they're going to be in this limbo, and then you're going to wonder what's wrong with them. And it's all because you mix the emotions in with what's right and wrong. And that's why I think it has helped me to make sure that they have that balance, and that I don't.
Yeah.
But that helped me in as a woman, period, to have a balance as a mother to be able to turn off. This happened at
Put
work. This
your
ain't got
emotions
nothing
aside.
to do, right. This ain't got nothing to do with the kids. I got to deal with this, on my time. Let me turn
Right.
this off and deal with them with my mom hat on, not my work hat. I got to turn that off. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So once you get into that mindset, it's like, okay, this ain't got nothing to do with them. Yes, he done ticked me off, but they can still, this ain't,
But I
they
think
can,
that's the
that's their
problem
fault.
is that so many people will commit to let's do what's right for the kids if this works. And if it doesn't work and I'm not with them anymore, then best for the kids goes out the window. All of a sudden, what's best for the kids is whatever I want, and luckily what's best for the kids is punishing this other person. Then I'm not gonna go over there and help her no more because she with a new dude, or you know what I mean? She ain't gonna get no support or no help from me because you got that dude, let that dude do it, you know what I mean? Or he with a new girl or whatever else, so he don't need to see these kids. Going over there with your new family or whatever, and all of a sudden you're taking out your issues
With the,
on your kids don't know no better. They believe you. They believe that's the whole world. They don't know that you're just some dude or some girl that dated somebody else. They believe like my daddy is saying this, so that is true, or my mother's saying this, so that is true, and it shapes their whole life, and you don't realize how much damage you're actually doing coloring that prism with your emotions rather than what's best for them.
yeah. So I think, and then like you said, I think it is different when a father has to see their daughter. It's a whole different realm of you seeing, a woman with, one of your exes more so than your daughter. Even when, um, situations happen, I've asked questions like that, like, would you want this to happen with your daughter? No,
Yeah,
well, I'm someone's daughter too,
right.
Um, so I think it's a different look when you have to see your daughter go through these type of situations. It puts you in a whole, because I'm looking at this even for my son, and I'm trying as a woman as much as I can teach him to lead, be a leader. I'm pushing him to be a leader. I'm pushing him, the weight is going to be on your shoulders. You're going to have to, you're not going to look at her for this. It's going to be on you. And I need you to be, the man that she needs, whatever. I can't
And that,
teach him how
and
to
that can sound like you're and that can sound like you're preparing a boy for things to be unfair, that everything's going to be on you, it's all going to be your fault and whatever else. But it's not. It's actually preparing him to realize that, one, hopefully with his own self-confidence and determination, you don't get mixed up with somebody that's just going to use you like that, right? You'll be able to pick ideally a decent woman that knows, yes, this is that man's work. I'm expecting him to lead or whatever else, but I also take care of my role. I'm not just dumping on him, because you never mean that either, right? You mean a
right.
man can lead and do his part, but I'm not just sitting around twiddling my thumbs. I know I got a part to do, and I fully expect to do a part.
Right. He's gonna, and with him seeing his mother do so much, he's gonna expect, and I pray that he gets a godly woman that can understand his gifts, um, so that he can, live out what God has him to be. Because even in that, if you are unequally yoked, that can deter you from who God has called you to be. And I've been, um, I'm just now, tapping into who God has me to be, at, in my 30s. So, um, It's just a journey of, you know, preparing him for that type of mindset and trying to be the example. And also for my daughter, I have the best of both worlds. So my daughter is going to have to, you know, the man is going to take, you know, he can do his part, but you're going to know how to, you know, you're going to have your part
Yep.
too. We are all here for a purpose. So you're going to have to live out your purpose and do your gifts too. So you're not going to be
Right.
sitting twiddling your thumbs thinking you just pretty girl, sit down and do nothing. He needs to do everything. You're going to be living out your gifts and y'all going to, you know, do
Yeah.
y'all together.
And you should be able to facilitate each other. I'm
Right.
doing my part so you can shine and do what you got to do, and vice versa, you know. And so uh, I know gender roles are unpopular right now, but gender roles are important in that what we should have accomplished is what it means, right? You know, so if two people are in a relationship, the gender roles are open enough for us to decide, okay, I'm a man, I'm coming in, and leadership is like management. It is a position, right? It's not above you or nothing else. It is a position. So I'm responsible for certain aspects, you know. And so I think some women have twisted that up is if the man is in leadership, he gonna be telling me what to do. And if I'm a modern woman, ain't no man gonna be telling me what to do, because he can get the, you know. And so it's like, no, if you bringing in a man for leadership, like you have no problem that your expectation is that uh, the man that's for you will be in a leadership position. You're eager for him to be leadership position, not a boy, not bossing you around, not just, I think that means telling you what to do. No, that means you lead, you help
Somewhere
strategize, you help
up.
figure out things, you help. It's a work position. It's not a bully position. It's a work position.
Right.
And you get to lead by example. You get to take, if something needs to get done, you take the front position on making sure, you know, that direction is happening, not just, oh, I'm a man, so you better do what I say, and I'm a man, you stop doing what you supposed to be doing or whatever else. And like, well, that's not a man, that's a bully.
Yeah, even with talking to you and having a son, it's changed the way I talk to men, period. Because at the end of the day, men are human beings. And just like we want to be respected and we want, to show compassion and love and, you better do this and you better show me this and you gotta well, with me having a son and with me, having my father around, it's like, okay, I don't want no woman just acting like my son don't have any feelings because he's a human being
Right.
at the end of the day. He has feelings. You're not going to treat him, so it just gave me a
Right.
whole different mindset. Like, hold on, Shanina, watch how you talking so that he don't see, you know, that that's the right way. And if I'm talking to men like that and he sees this all his life, then when he do get older, no matter if I tell him never to let a woman talk to him like that, he's going to end up accepting a woman that talks down to him like that due to what he may have seen me do. So that has changed my whole way to talk to a guy, um, and everything, because it's like, okay, he's watching. Let me watch how I'm talking because I don't want him to think that it's okay for a woman to, degrade him or talk down to him or, act as if he doesn't have any feelings. I'm not trying to make him a crybaby or anything like that, but I'm acknowledging that he's a human being. Like he is, you can have feelings. I want you to let it out because you're going to build up anger.
Right. And that is a big difference too of distinguishing between the genders is uh, culturally, you know, girls can learn that they get at each other, you know, little name calling, revenge things, embarrassing each other, you know, doing stuff, and that men aren't built to deal with it. They don't, you know, they don't. That's not how they handle things. And so, you know, somebody's messing with them or whatever else, you know, in the classroom, they turn around and punch somebody, you know, and if you're messing with each other, and so the genders have to realize, okay, you know, just I can't turn around and and punch a woman every time I get my way. Women have to realize, of course, guys are not built for that. That's going to be an answer or a realistic response for them if somebody's picking at them or hurting them or whatever else is. That's how they hurt back, And so you want to not get into, they call it like a cycle of violence for a reason because it's feeding itself. There's no innocent parties. Both parties are guilty of feeding into something that's causing it. They don't call it the line of violence, right? Like this is happening and there's an innocent person over here. They call it a cycle because now y'all are caught in a loop where this happened, so now I'm gonna do this, and then it's gonna happen again, and then I'm gonna do that, and until somebody grows up and says enough, I'm not gonna take part anyway. And she can clown or whatever else, but I'm gonna keep my hands to myself. Oh, that's a man. I'm not just gonna sit here and just on his buttons, right? If it starts getting out of hand, or if he starts winding up, but too often we've seen, if you see him winding up, you see him working up, you see him losing restraint, now you're getting closer. So what do you think is going to happen? What are you going to do? I wish you would, or whatever else, and then you're on the wrong end of something, and so you don't want to contribute to any negative cycles in any kind of relationship, and that takes a lot of maturity on both parties to say, hey, I'm not going to participate in any negativity,
Right.
as far as this relationship. You've had to make that decision a lot. If this isn't going to work on its own merit, then it's best that we our own situation, our own separate ways. Whether it's me or you, whatever it is, we're not healthy for each other. Okay, I'm not even mad at it. I'm not mad at you. I don't hate you. Nothing else, right?
And I mean, I'm still, I'm not buddy, but it's always been a mutual respect, and I'm sure that someone could see this video now and be like, yes, I've had a mutual respect for them, and I still would help them if I needed to, but we just came to the realization that we are not going to work
We're not
as
good together.
boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife because and that's no, they don't mean, and I had to grow up into that because I used to try to prove like I don't want you, but that don't mean that I don't love. No, I do love you, and I would try to prove like no, I'm not just trying to let you go, but now it's like okay, but I did care for this person, but that don't mean that I have to stay with this person or whatever. It's not working. We're not compatible. It's not, and it's not that we're not compatible. Period. We could be the best friends. Most of them, we could have conversations now, but girlfriend, boyfriend, it's not going to happen. So
No, exactly. But I guess we done ran over an hour
yeah,
here. So
yeah, we're an over hour. I looked at the time like, okay.
yeah,
Um,
we're an hour 10 into our 30 minutes. But if it helps anybody or if it benefits, of course, uh, that's great. Just to see how it can look. And again, maybe they heard from this, that we are dealing with different perspectives and different generations. Technically, I mean, we're kind of in the same generation. I'm kind of like
no, not really.
could be a brother, just
No, not really. You're 50, I'm 33. So yeah. Okay.
right. But yeah, but but it doesn't have to just kind of be word for word, verbatim. Uh, we're actually we feel like we're contributing because we're contributing from our own perspective. So it is not just necessarily, yes, I agree with you, of course, like that. You're not a father of children by multiple women. You're a single mom, right? And so the perspective that you'll be contributing is that,
Mhm.
right? So uh, for us to have a dynamic and fruitful conversation is to say, no, but the guys are like this or the women are like that. I haven't had to date guys. You haven't had to date women, so my guy friends are cool. Your girlfriends are cool. We ain't had to date them, right? So we haven't had to put up with them, uh, you know, in a romantic kind of way. So
Right.
I don't know what my buddies are like to deal with as mates. I don't, so um, it's easy to sit around with the same sex and just be like, the other sex just doesn't get it at all. And if they just realize and if they just get their head around it, things would be so much easier. We all got to realize everybody has a point.
Yep. So we're gonna end it off on that till next time. I guess we'll do this once every month. And this is our fly on the wall conversations.